Welcome back, episode 195, Life and Stride podcast. On this episode, we had back on U.S. Olympian Dakotah Popehn after she ran 2:24 the Chicago Marathon, which was a small PR. She wasn't totally satisfied with this result, though. She was hoping to run around 2:20 or even under 2:20 at this race based on her training block. We really dove into how the training block went. We dove into all the details of the race, fueling, all that kind of stuff. So this was actually a really insightful episode. But Dakotah is very motivated to continue getting faster. She really wants to break 2:20 one day and is going to do everything it takes to get there. So really cool episode. I hope you enjoy it. Please leave a review if you haven't yet. That helps us out a ton. Drop a comment, share with a friend, and just want to put a reminder out there. If you're going to be at the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon in a couple weeks, we are having a shakeout at 2 p.m. the day before the race on Friday. More details to come on that. Make sure you follow us on Instagram if you don't yet, because we will be dropping info on there. But we will make sure to remind you on the podcast too. So just be listening to the pod for more info. But yeah, if you're going to be in Indy, please come join us at the Life and Stride Shakeout. When we're running through Norton Commons or the Pewee Valley area in Louisville, Kentucky, it's pretty easy to spot Mason Construction Home. The attention to detail, the quality, the stunning design, you can't miss it. It stands out. We aren't just saying that either. Our own co-host Scotty trusted Mason Construction to build his forever home, and he and his family couldn't be happier. Don't tell Scotty this, but we're at his house a lot because we love the home. He's all right too, though. If you live in the Louisville or Southern Indiana area and are thinking about building your forever home or doing a remodel, there is nobody else to trust with this project than Mason Construction. The link to their website is in our show notes. Click on the request information option and start the conversation about what your forever home could look like.
Dakotah. And so
Yes, yeah, I've been to my actual office this time.
Oh, great.
Nice
Awesome.
office.
There's no canoe behind me or anything.
You coach people, don't you?
I do, yes, yeah.
Nice. You need the office space. So in between last time we recorded and this recording, not only did I fracture my sacrum, but I also we have a coaching business with this podcast, so I do it full time now, which is great. So so my office has gone from a corporate grind to writing plans and doing this podcast in the middle of the day like we are doing now. So
very exciting.
A lot of fun. That has been the Life and Stride update.
How's your husband's marathon journey coming?
Good. So I can't remember. Had he run Bayshore when we had talked?
Yeah, because I met you at the finish line at Bayshore, and I was like, hey, like I grabbed a medal from you, and I was like, will you come on the podcast? And you're like,
that's
okay,
right.
like you're kind of putting me on the spot here, but I'm too nice to say no.
Yeah, so he switched his goals up for a little bit. He signed up for the Grandma's Marathon, so that'll, his build will start in a bit. But he's been doing a lot of 5K training because when he got into running, he went straight from not running to the marathon, and he ran the Chicago 5K the day before the marathon and ran, I should probably know this, it was slower than he had hoped. Maybe like 18:30 or something like that.
That's great. That's a great time.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was the first big race that he'd ever run, so he wasn't really sure how to assign himself within the corral. So he went towards the back of Corral A thinking, oh, surely there's all these people who will be running faster than me, but there were people walking ahead of him. So his first mile, he was running up on the curb and getting down, and that's my mistake also. I just wasn't thinking that way. I don't think that way often because I don't deal with, where to be in the corral typically. So a little bit of a learning race for him in Chicago.
Yeah.
Do you coach him?
I do coach him, which is so fun because I just get to be super mean, or when I have a long run, I make sure that it's not he does a long run on the other day so he can still bike with me. So I plan his schedule around my schedule.
I have coached my wife before, and it's really tough because I guess she's not as into running as me per se. So she was training for Boston this past year, and she wanted to run 3:20, and a lot of days she was she hasn't really trained with anybody. She's I really don't want to go run 15 miles. And as the husband side of me is I'm not going to force her to go run 15 miles. But then the coach side is you got to do it. So sometimes a little soft. So that's a tough relationship to be in for sure. The coaching spouse.
It is, because especially if you don't also have that 15 miles and you want to hang out with her, you're yeah, don't do it then. Like let's watch a movie. So it could be really hard to like balance it. But I'd say I'm a pretty tough coach, so I make sure it gets out the door most days.
Nice. Wari, let's dive into a little Chicago talk. So first, I'd love to know like how you even chose Chicago, because last time I know you're in Boston in the spring. How did you decide on Chicago? You just really wanted to go for like a fast time?
Yeah, I went from the Olympic trials to obviously Paris, New York, and then Boston, and just I wouldn't say any of those are set up to be fast days. So I just really felt like I wanted to take a stab at my PR, and all signs were pointing towards like a really great fast day. So I guess I just wanted to run something flat where it was not so much about racing a pack as much as it was like racing the time. So I also feel like I thrive more on flatter courses, so I enjoy that training much more than doing the hill training for Boston and New York.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
How would you rate like your block, like 1 out of 10? Like it's in the pre-race interviews, it sounded like you were very confident in your fitness, and I mean based on workouts we see on Strava, like I mean you were ready to go. So how would you rate your block, like 1 out of 10 going into the race?
Yeah, unfortunately it was like a 10 out of 10, and then my race was like a 3 out of 10. I think the block just ended up being a little bit too long is what we've decided. I got fit faster than I normally do, so then it was kind of like, oh no, what do we do now? And like kind of just try to maintain it, not push the envelope. But yeah, I mean, I set a 10-mile PR in the middle of a workout, a 5K PR on the track in the middle of a workout. It went like so well, unfortunately. And I have not a lot to show for it.
When a professional athlete is sitting there setting PRs and workouts, because like, we'll have runners we coach for, they like set a PR and a workout, but they're like pretty new to running. So for you to set a PR and a workout, that's a pretty crazy statement for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then I was super pumped for Chicago. Definitely thought I had a big day coming. And took a big swing, and that's what happens. Sometimes you strike out when that happens.
Yeah, of course. Was there any like key like long runs or anything that like made you really confident in like going for the sub 220 goal? Was there like one specific day you're like, this is the day, like I'm really confident now?
Definitely not just one day. I think one good day, like one good workout can be not a fluke, but like a really great, everything's perfect conditions situation where that's just not how a marathon works. It was literally like every workout. If I was doing a long fartlek, we do 3 minutes at LT, 2 minutes slightly slower than marathon pace. So it ends up being, 45 minutes up to 90 minutes of a fartlek where you run the average of marathon pace. And I could do that at like 5:16, 5:18 pace, like all day long. And I felt really comfortable doing it in practice.
Wow.
And just a lot of my float miles being really comfortable around 5:15. So, that kind of points to a sub 220. And I thought maybe on my very best day, I could get really close to the American record. But yeah, obviously, like it's one thing to sit here and talk about it, and then a whole nother thing to do it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go ahead, Denny.
What were the factors in the race that you feel like held you back from running your best race?
Yeah, it was mostly mechanical. So I picked up an injury like 9 days before Chicago, like an anterior tibs strain, essentially shin splints, which is like super weird because that's like to me, I'm like, I'm embarrassed because that's like a high school injury or like a young Dakotah problem. And they just like literally popped up out of nowhere. It was super weird. My medical team just can't really figure out where they came from, essentially. Took a couple days off right before the marathon just to get rid of them, because there was a point where I was like, I don't know if I can race on this. It hurts so badly. And then mid-race, it didn't bother me, but I definitely was compensating for it. Like it was on my right side that I felt injured, or that my anterior tib was messed up. And then my left side like blew up in the race. I couldn't run on the right side of the road because of the camber. I had to stay on the left side to keep like my left leg lower for some reason. It was super, super weird. I've never experienced anything like it. So it felt very much like a mechanical failure. And I was like in just the worst mood ever. And I had a pacer, and he kept trying to like cheer me on and like, try to keep me in it. And my heart rate was like 165, and I'm like, Tyler, just like, I'm out of it. Like, this hurts so bad. And it felt very aerobically easy, but very physically hard.
Mm. Would you attribute that injury to maybe the block being a little too long? Is that kind of what you're thinking, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Typically my chiropractor thinks that normally you see this injury from like doing a lot of hill sprints or certain lifts, and I didn't really do anything like that, so it's kind of like a weird one to pop up when it did.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not quite sure where it came from, but I swear if like the build had been 2 weeks shorter, I think I would have been like in a much better spot on race day.
Yeah. I always wonder, like, what do you think an ideal length of time is for a marathon block? Because I've heard, like, I remember Scott Fauble back in the day, he would say like 9 to 10 weeks was like a marathon specific time was like good for him. He felt like he could like peak in that time frame. Like me, I like 12 weeks, but I've heard people say like even like 16 weeks of like dedicated marathon training is good for them. So like, where do you fall into that?
It's hard because I don't think it's linear, and I don't think like I get fit on the same timeline every time. It kind of depends on the build and what race we're queuing up for. Like if it's a flatter marathon, I think I can go for shorter, maybe closer to that like 10 weeks. But if it's a longer, or if it's a hillier marathon like Boston or New York, I feel like I need a little more time to get strong because you have to have just a different muscle set for the hills there. So probably more like 12 to 14 for a Boston or a New York.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. Yeah, the different stimulus kind of different types of pounding on the legs for sure.
Yeah.
Every time I run Boston, like 10K in, I got some like quad soreness, and I'm like, oh God.
And it's like you never can do enough in practice
Yeah.
to like be prepared for it. It's super frustrating.
Is there a mental aspect of that too? Like the mental grind of marathon training, perpetually training. Is there only so many weeks that you can train at such a high level before mentally you're just kind of cooked?
I don't really feel like I get mentally cooked from marathon training. I prefer it on the mental side because I'm so tired and busy and exhausted that there's not like a lot else to think about. It's typically like maybe physically towards the end, I'm starting to be like, ooh, like my body's ready for the break. But as soon as I start to taper, I'm always like white knuckling it. Like, oh no, I have all this time.
So
Yeah,
okay.
we just talked about that last episode. That's one of the
That's what I was
hardest.
gonna say. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm curious. We were talking about like, taper last episode, like Danny said. Is there like, so we were kind of giving our advice or opinion, like, you really obviously like carbo loading is a factor, but people tend to like change up their diet a lot, like those last 2 weeks leading up to the race. Like maybe they start eating a little healthier and stuff, and like kind of maybe like throw their macros off. I'm curious, like, is there anything like you like majorly change in your lifestyle in the couple weeks leading up to the race, like while you're tapering, or not really?
Absolutely not. I do not change my diet. I don't change like anything aside from like I try to pick up a new hobby. Like I bought a stupid like coloring book so that I spent more time on my butt than on my feet, because as soon as I start to taper I go like a little manic where I'm like, ooh, I've not cleaned the baseboards in a while. So but no, I'm not changing anything. I mean, I sauna and ice bath a lot, so I tend to try to taper those off also, but no major changes. I would not recommend changing your diet in a big way before a marathon.
What about like supplements or anything? Like, do you take supplements like creatine or L-carnitine or any of those, that beta alanine, those type things? Do you start to, because creatine says there's literature out there that says that you kind of can gain water weight from taking creatine, just anything like that.
I took creatine once for like a short like 2 weeks, and I ballooned up. I immediately was like, everything about me was like felt very swollen. So I don't do any sort of creatine. I don't change my supplement regimen at all because I'm pretty bare bones, being that I'm in the testing pool, and I don't, even like the most tested supplements I still feel wary of. So I just take the things that essentially keep me alive, like vitamin D here in the winter, and iron because I sleep at altitude, those kind of things.
Did you go to altitude at all for a training camp before Chicago, or no?
No, we have an altitude tent, so I sleep at 9,000 feet and get to live the good life here at whatever I am here, the 1,000 feet of elevation in Minnesota.
Last
Oh,
part, you
yeah.
told a crazy story about setting your altitude tent to like Mount Everest altitude
Oh,
Yeah.
without knowing it.
Yeah,
You have
we've
that
went
setting
that
figured out
lesson.
now.
Yeah, we've got it figured out. I can top out at about 9,000 feet without
Wow.
suffering from any sort of like crazy sleep struggle or anything.
I was gonna say, like, where you are, I feel like summer is pretty brutal most places in the US, but where you are is probably a little better than like training in the Midwest. I guess like Flagstaff wouldn't be too bad, like humidity wise, but I'm sure Minnesota's not like a too bad of a setup either.
No, I mean it's certainly warm. Like the mornings are
Yeah.
already 70, and then the afternoons can get up to like 90 or 100. But I love the warmth. Never will I complain about heat or humidity. That's actually why I
Really?
think I got really fit is because I perform really well in those conditions, and I tend to get really fit in those conditions. So
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you killed it in Orlando at the trials. I mean, obviously coming in the top three, and then I think Boston was like, I guess maybe on the warmer side of the day if you
Yeah.
take marathons. I mean, definitely sunny, and I think you said a PB at Boston, right?
I set a Boston course record, like my fastest
Yeah.
Boston when I was there.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, gotcha.
It was a solid day for sure at Boston. You were pretty happy with your Boston race, right? If I recall.
That one was really a double-edged sword because it was my fastest time there by like over 3 minutes, but
Yeah.
it was my like worst place, I think. I think I was like 16th or 17th, and it's like, gosh, I feel like a 2:26 most years would land you in the top 10 pretty easily, and it
Yeah.
just happened to be like like a crazy field, and so stuff like that I don't let bother me nearly as much because I can't control who shows up and how fit they show up.
Yeah.
So interesting tidbit on Chicago moving to the weekend a bit. So I heard like this from someone, I'm not sure if it's true. So I apparently like a lot of the elite field budget went to defending champ Chepengedich, but obviously she got popped. So the women's field was quite small compared to like what it normally would be compared to the men's field as well. That was kind of interesting like factor in the race because like there's a lot of like watching the race, there's a ton of elite men going by. Then the women's pack was quite small. Was that kind of a weird situation compared to other majors you've run, or are other majors smaller fields sometimes too?
Yeah, no, that felt like maybe the smallest major field I had been a part of, or at least like one of the. I mean, it was deep. Like they ran really fast, and that's
Oh,
no
yeah.
offense to them or Chicago, but I do feel like there was kind of like a hole, I guess, or like
Yeah.
something was missing, and um, yeah, I'm sure that there was some dedication of money going towards Ruth, and then at that point, once she was popped, I'm sure everybody was already signed up
Yeah.
for their marathons. So what are they going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure pros like lock in their fall plans like pretty early on, so it's kind of hard to try to steal people from New York or whatever at
Right.
that point. So
It worked out for the Americans though to have 3 American women in the top 10. I think it was three of us. That's pretty cool. Even if it's as long as you don't think about like, oh, maybe it was a more shallow field or a smaller field. It's still a cool thing.
yeah, it's a cool thing, and you guys still ran properly fast races, so yeah, still very much a thing. So all right, so when do you get into Chicago? I'm always curious how like early pros get into these kind of races. Like how early did you get there?
Yeah, we got there like Thursday midday, and yeah,
Okay.
you go straight to the hotel and you basically create like a little bunker in your room and just don't leave.
Yeah. So I have a little. I've already told this on the pod, but unless you're an avid listener of Life and Strat, you probably don't. So I'll tell you. One of our good friends is Jacob Thompson. He's from Louisville, and he paced Natasha. And on Saturday, he was like, "Let's get lunch. Let's like," because I was there spectating, and so I meet him at the Hilton where you guys were staying, and he was like, "I think I can get you into like the pro luncheon. Like, I don't think they're gonna have any problems." And I walk in, and I didn't see you in there. I guess you had already come and gone. We were close to the end of the time frame, but like Connor Mance, all like the pro guys were in there, and so that was like a kind of a interesting experience into like your guys' world on race weekend. But I was curious, like, how do you feel about the dining situation? Do you feel like, or do you like get your own food, or do you think the dining situation's like fine enough for your race?
Yeah, I do a mix. Like it is great food, but it's often like rinse and repeat type food. Like it's always like rice, chicken, steak, and a vegetable kind of thing, which it's good. It's just hard to eat over and over and over. So I'll bring in some food, but also I probably eat there 50% of the time. And I like it. Even if I'm not in the mood for the food, sometimes I'll just go sit down there because it's like a reprieve from this little room that you're essentially stuck in, and it's always fun to like catch up with the other pros who you only see at races.
Are you a runner? Do you need running shoes, gear, apparel, more? If so, I got the scoop for you. Kencom's Running Store is the best place to buy any running supplies you need. Located in the St. Matthews area of Louisville, Kentucky, the friendly staff will take excellent care of you. If you are a newer runner and need help finding the right shoes, or you're looking to get plugged into the Louisville running community, this is where you need to start. If you don't live in Louisville, check out werunlou.com. We have a discount code and the link to the website in the show notes, and the shipping is free for purchases over $100. I promise you, Matt and team are the friendliest people you can meet. Don't hesitate. Get your running supplies at Kencom's Running Store and support an amazing local business. Yeah. Do you think, generally speaking, from our end, we've been saying logistically, the majors are like really tough to run a PR in, right? For us, because like there's a lot of walking going around. You go to the expo, all these things, so they're a little more just consuming of the body before the race. So, and then you show up to like a race like maybe Grandma's or like Indianapolis, where you just walk out of your hotel, you're there, much easier logistically. Do you feel like as a pro that the majors like kind of have that same effect on you because you have media stuff, I'm sure, all that, and maybe like a race like Grandma's or Houston's like a better setup for you, or do you think the majors are just as good as a setup?
Yeah, I think the majors, they make it really nice for us. So I'm not gonna, I don't want to sit here and complain and be like, oh, I have to take a bus out to Staten Island where I go sit in an indoor track where I get to do a warm up no matter the weather, that kind of thing. Or like Boston, like we have our own dedicated tent. It used to be a church. We're pretty pampered, but it emotionally takes a big toll, much more so than like a Grandma's would. Just some of those end up getting so busy with sponsor obligations and media, like you said. And, you know, anytime you go step down into the lobby, you're kind of exposing yourself to people. And I love that people know me and, you know, are fans of mine. So I encourage people to come up to me, but it can be like an exhausting experience. So it definitely does make it a bit more difficult to perform well, but that's part of the gig and you have to be good at that. And I will say, I think Chicago's the easiest one because there's just not as many asks. Like I feel like from a sponsor standpoint, there's just not as many like pop-ups as like when you're in Boston. It's like the whole Newberry Street is like every shoe brand. And the getting to the start line of Chicago is obviously much more convenient than getting to like, you know, Staten Island or to Hopkinton. I couldn't think of the name of it.
Yeah. I mean, you guys take a bus from the Chicago hotel like just a couple blocks to the start area, right? So that's
we do.
Yeah, they take good care of you guys, it sounds like. So that's good.
They do. It's like a 5-minute bus ride, but it is better than walking for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Sorry, Danny, were you gonna say something?
No. It's I mean, the pressures are understandable as a pro. That it's kind of a privilege. At the same time, you still want to go out there and perform so that you can maybe have a little bit more of that. So it's this weird chicken and egg problem, I think. But you seem to handle it well.
Yeah, I'm learning. Like I definitely have been seeing a sports psych 4X in Boston. I felt really burned out by the time I got to the race, but Boston is just busier, and like you said, it's a privilege to be that busy. But I literally got to the start line and I was like, thank God I finally get to be alone for a little bit. And that's probably not how you should get to the race. So I have been working to kind of, I'm more introverted, certainly. So it's very draining for me to be in the public for that long. So I'm working to be better at it for sure.
Yeah. That's one way to look forward to the race, you know?
Yeah,
that's the way to get alone. All right, so let's talk race day. So what I'm always curious, what'd you have for breakfast before the race?
Yeah, I had a bagel with cream cheese and some yogurt. I'm I'm not very dairy averse, so I that's
So-
kind of my standard.
Okay, nice. Yeah, some people are like they avoid cream cheese and yogurt at all costs on race
She's
morning.
from the
So
Midwest, dude. She like probably grew
Yeah.
up with whole milk.
true.
Like, yeah.
I did oatmeal for a long time, and it got to the point where like I would literally be gagging as I was eating it. So I just want to eat whatever sounds good, and to me, a bagel almost never sounds bad.
Yeah, fair enough. So we were talking a bit before the pod. The whole race went out fast, like guys field, men's field, first 5K split. Your first 5K split I have here 16:24. So a little fast, but you guys had a tailwind, right? Were you feeling like pretty comfortable going through the 5K at that point, or were you a little worried about the
No,
pace?
I wasn't. So I brought a pacer. His name is Tyler German.
Yeah.
He's a teammate and good friend of mine. So I told him I didn't want to go out. I wanted to run out at 5:20s, no faster. Like I would have preferred 5:23s over 5:18s. And I told him I wasn't going to look at my watch because I do have immense trust in him. We got out in a little pack with Callie Thackerty and
Yep.
Nick Hauger. And I think just like the little environment, this fun little pack we had, it ended up being fast. And finally at mile 3, I was like, Tyler, I gotta slow down. Like this doesn't feel very good. And I thought we had been running 5:20s, and he goes, no, it's okay. We're going fast. So I was thankful to hear we were ahead of pace because it was not feeling chill at all.
Yeah. What do you like, earlier on in a marathon, like let's say you're like before mile 18 and start getting hard, are you pretty good at like not quitting on yourself at that point and like giving yourself like positive like mental reinforcements? I'm sure as a pro, like you kind of have to, because like I know as good as anyone, you can kind of have like bounce back moments in the marathon. So you're pretty good at like positive reinforcement, or do you kind of start negative self-talk?
Yeah, I mean, I go through both. Totally. Like I wasn't feeling very good at like even by I think like mile 8, I remember telling Tyler like my legs were feeling it already. And so you definitely spiral down into like, oh no, oh no. But there's just so much unknown. And I think I'm a positive enough thinker to think, oh, well, maybe at mile 10 I'll feel better. Or maybe by that next stop sign I'll feel better. And I have dropped out of a marathon before. And there's no more disappointing feeling than that. I would rather cross the finish line in a time I'm not proud of than have to take the sag wagon. So I think that experience makes it much easier to stay in and just hope that it might turn around at some point.
Yeah. So, I know. So again, I was a mile 8, so I saw you come by, and then shortly after, our friend Jacob was pacing Natasha. Was there that kind of like cat and mouse game where you felt like kind of just that pressure because you were top American, right? Through, I guess like 18. Were you feeling like a little like pressure from behind up to that point?
No, it wasn't until she was like literally on my heels that I realized she was even there, to be honest. All of a sudden,
Wow.
maybe it was Jacob. Somebody kind of came up on my shoulder, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I had no idea we were being hunted down at all. And I turned to Tyler. I said, "We've got company." And then it actually kind of helped me like re-engage for a little bit because I was definitely being like a sourpuss at that point and needed, And poor Tyler, like I said, he was like trying to pump me up and be so positive, and I was just kind of in a negative Nelly mindset. But having somebody to like kind of re-engage with helped, and I stayed with Natasha for a little bit, and then there was another woman, I cannot remember her last name, who was there, and we kind of were able to battle throughout the rest of the race.
Yeah, she might have been the French woman. I don't remember her.
Yeah, it starts with a B. I just wouldn't know how to pronounce it correctly. It's like Barricade something TTI at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, something French.
Yeah.
Well, so we did a lead field recap with Jacob because obviously he's in the race pacing, and he said, yeah, you like latched on to him to their group for a bit. That must have been like, as like a fan, I would have loved to like been there those like couple miles and seen like the 2 top American women like that late in the race going after it. Was it hard like realizing that like maybe like once she kind of got a couple steps on you, was that like a pretty tough realization that like she was now the top American? Like, did you like feel like you had to battle to the finish still at that point, or were you, I guess, like again, like the positive negative self-talk?
Yeah, I guess like that just wasn't really one of my goals at all, being top American. I think in an interview before somebody asked me if that was my intention, and I said, well, if I run a good enough race, like that will come with it, but like that's not my main priority is thinking about being top American. To me, that's maybe it's because I've been to the Olympics, but being top American just doesn't that's not that exciting to me. I want to be on the podium. You know, it's I feel like that's a little bit too low of a bar for me to set right now. And so when she ran ahead of me, it really wasn't even what I was concerned about. I was much more bummed with the fact that I was watching my time slip away.
Yeah. Well, I love like how outspoken you were pre-race about like what you were out there to do because I think it's scary to put out like, such a big goal. I think your PR going in was 224 and you lowered it by, seconds at the race, but you were saying, before the race how confident you were in your fitness and stuff. And that definitely takes a lot of courage to like put out like a pretty obviously you're in shape, to do it, but it's an aggressive time for sure. Were you thinking about that at all, like later in the race too, like about like, putting that goal out there? Were you worried about having done that at that point or no?
I don't think so. I especially because I'm so open on Strava and like I don't hide anything and I typically like lay out my entire workout and will even put splits if it's not already on there. So like I have the receipts to show like I wasn't like I was running like 5:30s in practice and was like, yeah, I think I can run 5:20s in the marathon. Like I was running the times that I needed to run 5:20s in a marathon. So
Yeah.
I think I heard somebody recently say like we weren't meant to be able to hear the so many critics around us. We're meant to hear like the people in the room with us and what they have to say. We're not supposed to be able to hear thousands, if not millions of comments online. So I try to keep that at my like the front of my mind, I guess. Like
Yeah.
if somebody on Let's Run thinks I'm an idiot for saying that, like they're allowed their opinion and maybe I was. I clearly didn't back it up. So I guess I just don't feed into what other people think when I say my goals. And I don't know, if you're not going to swing for the fences, what are you doing? Why are you even there?
Yeah, that's an awesome attitude. And I think, part of it for you too is like, I remember generally what like your college times were and like now, I mean, you're probably running like your college 5K pace for like for a full marathon and like that's your goal. So I think like part of it too is like look how far I've come and like now, you're putting out this awesome goal of 220 marathon. It's like, I mean, a matter of years, like it's just like crazy the improvement. So I'm sure like part of it after maybe like a race that you didn't want, it didn't go as well as you wanted. Like I'm sure there's a little bit of like a couple days to think about it. It's like, okay, like, look how far I've come. Were you experiencing some of that? Like after, I'm sure the initial response when you finished were like crap, but have you been able to like come off it better now?
Well, what's I think specifically frustrating about this result, and it's like a lot of people were super happy for me. It's my first top 10 finish at a world major, second
Yeah.
American, like seventh at Chicago should be something we're celebrating, and I just haven't found the ability to celebrate it yet.
Yeah.
Maybe someday when I'm older and wiser, I will, but I think when you see so much promise in practice, you just want that to come to fruition. I would have been happier if I had ran 2:19:59 and placed 15th, rather than my 2:24 at 7th. But that's because this sport is just so time based, I guess. It's very black and white.
Yeah, it is for sure. I think like especially right now, the flashy times are like the prominent feature of the sport versus anything else, even over placement. I would say like for example, John Career dropped out at like 20 mile 20. Maybe if they go out a little slower, he wins the race. If he
Right.
goes out like 101:30, 102 flat, maybe he wins the race. But I think like they wanted the world record, they wanted a fast time, and he and ended up like risking his race for the fast time of potentially winning the race. So yeah, the fast times are the hot topic right now, so to say.
Totally.
Yeah. I didn't want to pass too. I know you use UCAN for fueling, right? We love talking fueling. Do you know around how many carbs or grams per hour of carbs you try to take during a race?
I should probably know how many carbs are in one. You can edge, but I don't off the top of my head. I'm taking one edge every 3 or 5K roughly, wherever they have them on the course, essentially. And then in my bottle, I'm using hydrate because I think that having enough sodium and potassium is like almost equally as important as fueling. So yeah, I guess I don't know what that equals out to. They're pretty low carb technically, so I'd guess maybe 60 grams of carbs an hour or so.
34 grams per one. You can't.
That's higher than I thought.
Yeah, so that's like pretty close to like 90, 100, I guess.
Yeah,
no,
so I guess that's higher than I thought. Yeah.
yeah, close to 100 because you're going every 5K in around what, like 17, 16, 30, 17 minutes, something like that. So yeah, so that's quite a bit of carbs per hour, which is also
quite a bit.
Yeah, right.
I wish I was more sciencey about it. And I'm just not. I do it more on like how I feel. And that's what I mean, that's why UCAN is for me specifically, is because it doesn't have like the sugar where if you wait a little bit too long, you start to crash, I guess. It has like the longer lasting energy. So if I wait a little too long, it's not gonna be life or death for me. So sometimes I'll grab my bottle and I'll just hold on to my UCAN for a little bit until I'm ready for a little snack. I say.
Do you take the
funny,
ones
I
with
think-
caffeine?
What was that?
Do you take the ones with caffeine?
I do the one with caffeine every 3. So I'll take the caffeine and then do 2 pineapple and then a caffeine, 2 pineapple.
It's funny, like I don't know if you saw the videos, like Clayton Young was asking John Career why he put so much sugar in his tea or whatever. And like I think a lot of like non-elite runners, like it's so focused on fueling like carbs and like even like carb load before the race, like they're punching in a calculator and stuff. And it's like,
I agree.
you know, I don't know if you do that or not. So you're shaking your head, so it doesn't look like you do, but
No.
I think like a lot of people have that misconception where the pros are like so like dialed on like the very small details like that. But Clayton asked John, he was like, "Are you doing that for like a fueling purpose?" And he was like, I like sugar, you know." And like, yeah, but then like you got the sub elite or non elite people like just really getting wound up about it. So it's kind of funny.
I just think like the longer I've been in the sport, the more specific you are about everything, the more likely things are going to go wrong. And so you have to be somewhat like type B in some aspects of it. I do not do the carb load specific either. Like I like add another piece of toast to my breakfast or something. Like I coach a lot of athletes who are like, okay, how many carbs do I need in the days leading up? I'm like, I don't know, have some juice with your meal instead of water, or, you know, just add a carb in here or there that's more than you normally would.
Yeah.
It's way more vibes based. That's kind of the way I am too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, what are the major things that you tell your athletes or that you would tell any athlete they should be focusing on instead of those micro improvements?
Yeah, it's mostly just about like rest and recovery on the week leading up to the marathon, like especially like you had talked about with like New York and Chicago and Boston. They're just so high energy, so making sure you're like kind of filling your cup of energy before you get there, because then you're going to get to Boston and it's like bright lights and like glamorous and you're walking around, you're going to the expo. The Chicago Expo is the biggest expo I've ever seen in my life. So like all this stuff, like making sure you're just like ready for the exhaustion that comes with race day.
Yeah, we were talking about that too. Like, I feel like I walked a mile, like just getting through the expo at Chicago. So
Totally. Yeah.
it's an experience. But I will say, no expo is making more money than the Boston one. That Boston gear goes like crazy. There's people spending a cool G at the Boston Expo, no problem, 100%.
That's wild to me.
Oh yeah. You got to get the Boston jacket at least. You got to pony up $250 every time. No doubt about it.
I did buy a Boston jacket the first year I ran it as like a commemorative thing, and it was like the classic blue and yellow Boston jacket.
Yeah.
So
Are you allowed to wear it anymore?
I'm not. I also was not sponsored when I bought it, so now it's in a box somewhere, and I'll show my kids someday maybe.
Yeah. Whoever's listening, Dakotah sponsors. She does not wear the Boston jacket.
I do not. And honestly, even when I wasn't sponsored, I didn't wear it because there's some level of fool I felt like when I was wearing it. Like, of course, I'm a Boston qualifier. Like, it feels a little cheesy to wear it as an elite.
I
Oh,
just
yeah?
got my first one this year, and I am 100% showing up to the turkey trot and going to warm up in it. 100%.
I love that.
Dude, there's nothing funnier when you get in line at the security leaving Boston Marathon and like everyone's got the jacket on. Like,
Yeah, seriously. It's like a fun, it's very cute. It's hard not to like laugh at it.
yeah, there's a Boston jacket, iconic. Are you? We were talking about what race you might do next. Are you allowed to talk about that or no?
I can tell you that I'm running the Flanagan's Rock and Rib 10K. But beyond that, I don't know if I have any leeway to talk about.
Oh, cool. We will not discuss that one. I just without like breaking what race you're considering doing, I may be doing the same race at the same pace. So
Maybe
so
we'll see you there.
yeah. So if obviously depending on what distance you choose, or we'll leave it there. But
Whatever.
yeah, I'm not going to say what race, but yeah. So maybe we can figure something out if
Yeah.
that's the case. But we'll see.
It would be sick.
It'll be cool. It'd be cool. Yeah, for sure. I'd love to help out in any way possible.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but Danny, you got anything else for Dakotah?
Yeah, a couple things. I'm really thinking about getting the Fast R3s.
Ooh,
Should I do it?
I think they're the fastest shoe. I mean, it's hard because I also don't get to test other shoes, but
Yeah.
I would have, if we could go back like a year, I would have told you I will never switch out of the DV8 Elites. Like those are the shoe made for me. And as soon as I tried on the Fast Stars, I was like, yep, these are better, and they're so fast. And I've never heard of anybody not liking them really. So
It's
I think they're worth the $300 price tag. Unfortunately, I hate to say
Yeah.
it.
Okay. All
Actually, I
right.
love to say it because Puma did a really good job with them.
dude, Puma is so back.
Sponsors, if you're listening, she loves to say it. Okay. All right. I'm going to get a pair. And I'm probably not going to have time to actually do like a long run in them before my marathon. So I'm going to trust you on this, and I'm going to rip
Okay, what
new
race are you
shoes.
running?
Indianapolis Marathon. It's in 3-ish weeks. So yeah.
Yeah,
Should be
just
enough.
do like just do a shakeout, and I'll make sure they don't. I will say like if you can wear a longer sock, a lot of people get a blister on like their Achilles.
Okay. Good to know. Good to
It
know.
kind of digs in there, but I now have like calluses there because it's worth it. It's worth the blister.
All right. I've got my eye on a pair. I'm going to absolutely pull the trigger on these.
That's what the Law Strike credit card's for.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, for sure. Sponsor money. So Dakotah, Chris went into the pro luncheon and had some moments where he's like seeing his heroes, Connor Mance and John Career and Dakotah Popehn. And I'm wondering, who are those people for you? Who are your running heroes that inspire you in the sport?
Yeah, I have always said Des has always been the person that I look up to most, like her longevity in this space and her ability to like perform really, really well in this, like that crazy longevity that she had. It's very inspiring, and she's like so normal and real. I think she kind of got me to understand like I don't have to be type A about everything. I don't have to be super serious about it all. I can be very dedicated, but also like live a life and it not all be revolved around running. So she's definitely like my number one that I look up to, or looked up to, now that she's retired. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it was super fun then when I got to be her rival also. So it was very full circle for me.
She would like drink whiskey and stuff like when she was at the top of her game, just like a super relatable personality.
So relatable. And I really like whiskey also. So it
Really?
kind of just opened my eyes. Like when I would see her post that, or, like her eating pie for breakfast, I was like, oh, she's a really great runner and she's very unserious about it. Like maybe those things can be correlated.
What's your favorite type of whiskeys? Chris, we need to send her some bourbon. We'll send you a bottle of Kentucky.
Yeah, I definitely go for bourbon. We have Keeper's Heart right now that I love an old fashioned, really. That's my preferred method.
Okay, I need to get you your hands on a bottle of Woodford Reserve Double Oak. It's like, it's not super rare or anything, but I think it's like the smoothest bourbon out there. Have you had it?
I feel like maybe I have in an old fashioned before. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at. I'm more of a label person. I got to know what the label looks like.
Yeah, yeah. We'll send you a picture of it, but it's like just a few cubes. Like it doesn't need a splash of water or really anything added. But I would recommend like few ice cubes. It's smooth drinking.
All right, I'll add it to the cart.
Add it to your cart. And then like, what is the week from a training perspective? What like are the weeks after the marathon looking like for you?
Yeah, I didn't really run much last week. I ran like 3 miles on Sunday. Just 'cause I was getting like achy. I think us high mileage runners can understand like a week off almost doesn't do you good. My tendons and stuff were starting to get tight, and I felt like if I didn't run soon, I wasn't gonna run ever again. And then this week's 40 miles because I am popping back off into a race like I think 3 weeks from now, a 10K. I'm gonna probably climb up pretty quick, but that's kind of how I prefer it anyway.
Yeah,
Nice. I think like once you've been running consistent 90 plus, 100 plus, you just feel safe like getting like being in that mileage. You know, like when I was out with my stress fracture, I was just like I was spiraling, but now. 6 weeks later, back touching 100, and I just feel at home, So I get that you want to be right back in there. So
totally. I end up feeling like sick almost when I'm not running. Like I feel like I'm constantly almost coming down with a cold, and I think it's my body's like withdrawal symptoms of high mileage.
Yeah.
It's crazy how the body like gets so used to something, and then you take it away, and it's just like I don't know what to do now. So yeah. But all right, anything else, Danny P?
That was a great pod. Thanks so much for coming on.
Pod.
This is great catching up.
Of course.
Yeah, you're one of our favorite interviews. Like, not even like just really fun. Love having you. First one was fun too, and this one was awesome. So, really appreciate it.
Yeah. Happy to be back.
Cool. All right, that's 195 Dakotah Popehn. Catch you on 196. See ya.